Yes.
Yes.
Do we have any old business? I think we're still good with our meeting at 4:30. And then if not, we'll move on to new business. The first new business is a variance request from the maximum height for a monument sign of 5 feet required to 6.5 feet, 6 feet 6 inches, provided for the property located at 3100 King. Before we even hear the staff report, I'm going to ask anybody who's here today that might be giving any kind of testimony to raise their right hand, to be sworn in together. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. Now, we'll ask for the staff report, please.
The applicant wishes to erect a new monument sign, aka low-profile sign, on the southwest corner of the property. Section 3112 of the Sylvania Township Zoning Resolution defines a low-profile or monument sign as one that is, quote, mounted directly to the ground with maximum height of sign face not to exceed 5 feet and not to exceed 7 feet measured from elevation at center line of the road, end quote. The applicant requests a variance of 1 foot 6 inches to allow the overall height of the sign to be 6 foot 6 inches. The proposed monument sign meets all other requirements of Article 31. Sylvania Township zoning staff recommends approval of the requested height variance. Once again, the BZA is reviewing a variance from the Sylvania Township zoning resolution stringent height requirement for a monument sign. It is the intention of the zoning department staff that this requirement be reviewed for consistency with those sign regulations of nearby jurisdictions and the desires of the business community while protecting the standards and character of the township. Any amendment to the Sylvania Township zoning resolution will require review and recommendation by both the Lucas County Plan Commission and the Sylvania Township Zoning Commission. Final approval will be decided by the Board of Trustees.
Okay. I guess before we hear the case, based on your staff report, obviously we're running into this issue with some regularity. I mean, where do we stand compared to some of our neighbors?
We are very strict, probably the strictest of any around. Okay. This has been on the back burner as far as projects for the zoning department, but I think it's just something. When things slow down here in the fall, we need to definitely review that and get something moving forward. I know Springfield Township, for example, has something to the effect that if you move the sign, I think they might have like the 5 foot or 6 foot height limit, but if you move it farther from the right of way, you can go higher up. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily a foot for a foot or if there's a ratio, but there is an allowance to get a higher sign by moving farther from the right of way, and I kind of like that idea. A lot of places have 8 foot or 10 foot height limits, and it's something I think we need to look at. We do seem to be the strictest one around, and then that may not necessarily be a bad thing. Maybe we want to stay that way, but I think it's something that needs to be reviewed. And
okay. I mean, obviously, it's always a plus to try to go towards monument signs when you can.
Right.
But to try to get it so it's at least doable, especially kind of what's before us when it's an emergency.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any questions so far on the staff report? And if not, we're going to ask if there's anybody here that would like to speak on behalf of this matter. And if you do, we'll ask you to approach the podium. Val, for the record, now Mr. Bowen's here. We can have that on the record, so we can make sure Dan gets a chance to vote on this case too. Okay, is there someone here to ask you to sign in and state your name for the record, please?
Nelson Pixler from Harmon Sign. Okay, what In our discussions with them, since this is an emergency sign, there are a couple things that are driving this height, and we're only asking for about 1.5 feet. There's a 6 inches at the bottom. We cannot have the address covered up by any snow or anything like that, so we have to keep that fairly clear. So we had to put it up, but we also have to make sure that emergency is visible to, you know, all the community members. So that's really the drivers behind this. We minimize, if you see the Mercy Health, we really can't take that much smaller. So this is what the design team came up with in the end. We'd adhere to the 15-foot setback from the right-of-way. Outside of that, it's pretty standard.
And you've got actually 2 monument signs you're doing, but the other one you're not seeking a variance on.
That is correct.
This is where the main traffic. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Is the board prepared to vote on this, or rather than seeing some head shaking? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the variance request for a maximum height for a monument sign of 5 feet required to 6.6 feet, provided for the property located at 3100 King Road, parcel 78-33164.
Second.
Mr. Schlechter?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes.
Mr. Helper?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're on to second new business, where I will be passing on the gavel to Vice Chair Mr. Hayes. I will be abstaining from this matter, so I'm going to come out and join you guys.
Thanks for stopping in.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay, the next variance request is for retail parking from 231 spaces required to 187 provided for the property located at 5115 Monroe Street, parcel 78-17054. Staff report?
Yes. The applicant is requesting a variance to section 2912 of the Sylvania Township zoning resolution requiring 1 parking space per 200 square feet of gross floor area for general retail. The existing building on the property measures 46,135 square feet. To meet the requirement of the zoning resolution, a retail store utilizing this building should have 231 parking spaces. Currently, there exists 127 spaces on the site, representing a deficit of 104 spaces, and a parking ratio of only 1 space per 363 square feet. The applicant intends to redevelop the parking lot to increase the number of parking spaces. Additionally, the applicant plans to strike parking spaces onto a paved open area to the rear of the building. The additional spaces will bring the number of parking spaces up to 183. This decreases the deficit to 48 spaces, and the parking ratio after redevelopment would be 1 space per 252 square feet. Furthermore, the property owner has a reciprocal parking agreement with the adjoining Shorty's Restaurant with its 74 parking spaces. This agreement brings the total number of available parking spaces between the two properties up to 257. Lastly, it bears noting that unfortunately the building on the subject parcel falls just shy of the 50,000 square foot threshold. A retail store of this size would only be required to accommodate 1 space per 300 square feet or 167 spaces for a 50,000 square foot building. If the applicant were to add 3,865 square feet to the building, they would actually exceed the requirement with the redeveloped parking lot and would have no need for this variance request. Sylvania Township zoning staff recommends approval of the requested variance. By redeveloping the parking lot and increasing the number of available spaces by 56, The applicant is making a significant improvement to the site. A shared parking agreement with Shorty's Restaurant further increases the parking options primarily during the weekdays, as presumably the restaurant will be busier during the evening and weekend hours. I would like to note that since I wrote up the staff report, there was an adjustment on the site plan so that the proposed redeveloped parking lot would have 176? 177 parking spaces as opposed to 183. After I made that nice chart.
So, I'm sorry. Do you mind? So the fire department signed off on this? They were fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? How about anybody would like to speak on this?
Hi, I'm Bill Bosselman, representing Devonshire REIT, and one of our LLC entities is the owner here and landlord. We're looking to develop a new specialty grocery store in about 2/3 of the building here, and looking to increase the parking over what is currently striped. Just to clarify, Daryl's correct, we had to, since the original site plan was submitted, and you now can see the revised site plan on the screen, we had to use up six of the new parking spaces in the back for additional dumpsters and storage of their cardboard bales from their compactor. So that chewed up 6 more spaces. But even with that, the parking increases from by actually 50 spaces over what's there today. And part of that is the restriping in the back, which has never been striped, or at least not recently. And that adds, I think, 26. So there's actually even 24 new spaces out front, which is where we really need them. Unfortunately, it would not be possible to squeeze any more on there, and would never be possible, in my opinion, to get the required, 231 onto this site. The only way to do it would be to actually add square footage to the building, which I do not think would be good for the site or the congestion in the commercial area there. Don't want to take up too much of your time. We hope that this is something that will be for the benefit of the community and everyone around that area. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. And Dean Frederick is here if you have any technical questions regarding the engineering.
Who's going in there?
It's a Fresh Time. It's a relatively new chain of specialty grocery stores, similar to like a Fresh Market.
Like a Whole Foods?
Yeah, it's not as big as a Whole Foods, but similar products.
Hours of operation?
Not sure, actually.
24 hours?
No, definitely not 24, but I don't know their exact hours.
Do you know their peak hours?
No, I don't, but I would think it would be similar to, any typical grocery store.
Just thinking of taking into account the cross-access easement, the peak hours for the Mancy restaurant would be lunch
Right.
and then evening.
Correct.
Do you think they're a good complement?
It's not 100% perfect in terms of match, but I would think they're, your typical grocery is kind of spread through the day. You get a little bit of a spike, 4 to 6 as people drive home from work. But other than that, I don't think that's before most people are going to restaurants. So I think it's not bad.
Do you know what any of the proposed uses are in the residual space?
At the moment, there are 3 spaces at the west end of the building. One of them is currently occupied by a yoga studio, and the other 2 are vacant with no prospects at the moment.
You know, when you talk about adding square footage to the building to go to 50,000, I mean, it's really not the size of the building, it's the use.
Right.
If it went all retail, you would have a valid argument. If it was a different use, adding to the building wouldn't apply. You recognize that?
Not necessarily, I don't have the code in front of me, but it was explained to me that it was any 50,000-foot building was 1 per 300
For retail use,
for retail.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
saying if you put
right.
a bar in there, in
Oh,
a strip center, it's
yes,
one
I
for
understood.
125.
Right. But a big box store, which is all that would likely go in here, that was 50,000 would go to the 1 per 300.
Right.
Yeah, okay, we're on the same page. Yeah, you're right, we would not be able to get a big restaurant in there,
Right.
nor would we want to.
Anybody else? I think at this time, excuse me, I thought, go ahead.
Yep.
I'm Jim Schwarkowski, address 2927 North McCord, and we own the building to the west that's not the Bed Bath & Beyond, the post office building. And parking over there has been an issue for a long time, but I don't see that this application is going to make it any worse. It should help, really. We have a lot of problems at our building that's gotten a lot better since Amigos shut down. It was really bad back then, but even when the gym's open, the women like to park in our lot, usually walk over because it's a shorter walk. So we just have to police it well. And we have to truck snow out of there in the winter because there's nowhere to put it. But I would go along on the record as being supportive of this project. That's all.
Thank you.
I think some of my concerns are the peak hours, because I mean, I've been over there, especially, because this is the parking lot that Shorty's shares, right? Is it, yeah.
Right.
I mean, you go over there for lunch and it's, you know, I mean, Office Depot was always empty, so, I mean, it was kind of it was a good thing. But that parking, I mean, Shorty's would steal a lot of that parking, a lot of those parking spaces. So, I mean, in traditional retail, I mean, I would imagine peak hours would be the same as Shorty's, wouldn't it?
Probably. Imagine shoppers are probably out in the after, you know, Monday through Friday, they're out after 5. You know, every time the dinner crowd's out.
I would think the weekend mornings might be busier for the grocery retailer.
I'm just wondering with these parking spaces over here to the left, being accessible would relieve some of that congestion, for the simple reason that somebody going to some of the restaurants wouldn't park there as much as if they could keep, you know, maybe have their employees not park, you know, in the prime places, and they could run in and out of that, maybe would relieve some of it, adding that in.
That is the intent. Those spaces in the back are for employees, and so that they're not using the front. That's, you know, new over what we've had before, although I'm sure some people parked back there in unstriped areas in the past.
But you could always solve the problem by adding another 3,500 square feet, and you got your space, you don't even need a variance, right?
In theory, I mean, obviously that's,
You don't want to do that.
no, we don't want to do that, and we wouldn't do it really, but it's something you might want to address in your code as, you know, kind of an odd inconsistency.
Its intent was the size of the retailer, it's not the size of the building.
Right.
So,
Well,
I mean,
yeah, the other way
what
to
he's
do it.
saying is accurate to a point.
Yep.
You're saying if you put a big box,
No, I
single-user
understand, I understand it
retailer,
all.
Yeah.
I
then
understand.
it works.
Okay, is there anybody else? Okay, at this point, since there's just 4 of us, it has to be a unanimous vote to pass, or was it when we had 3?
3.
Just 3. Still, at this point, there seems to be quite a bit of questioning. We will come back and give you an answer tonight, one way or the other, if you'd like to stay, but we'll recess and go in the back. Anybody have any questions about that?
Jim's got to sit down.
Oh, no problem. I thought you were adding on to it, sorry. I thought you were adding on the building.
Nothing to say to me, man?
What's that?
Nothing to say?
I mean, we both use the lot, so.
Right.
I mean, you're there on a Saturday night.
That's Nick Mancy. Oh, that's sure.
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, we got another sewer meeting.
Okay.
I think I'm setting it up the week
I think
before
that's-
Labor Day. I'll get you the email.
Okay.
That's the sanitary sewer in the back? Most of the product comes from your place. I think a lot of people wipe their hands with like 3 by towels. Flush it down the toilet. I don't know when people do that. Believe it, there's supposed to be stress.
Have to really check.
It always, the last time it backed up on Christmas Eve, the post office complained about it. Well, we actually have to go out again this year. And then I got a call from the Ohio EPA on New Year's Eve, because the post office said that we were doing about sanitary backing up to the parking lot.
Oh, I didn't remember that one there.
But Finnegan, it actually froze this year, so Finnegan had sewage coming back in his 2 buildings. You guys haven't bought those yet, huh?
The office building probably don't care about it.
No.
No, none of the offices. Use it for ourselves. And that's not a done deal.
We haven't had to guide so far. Let's see. Speak for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was a little bit concerned. I hear it, but
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the most, I don't know if they were aware of that, because if anybody has any legitimate concern.
whatever, who we fill it with, it's going to have a certain amount of traffic, and it's going to be more than, if we just put a tenant in, we would have to do that.
Right.
I think it goes back to the initial development, shooting all that stuff in.
It was the 70s, I believe. It was bowling. Before it was a bowling alley, it was a giant toy store.
Wow.
Yeah, it was even before your thing, it was a toy store. And then a bowling alley, it was major changes. Big changes in the community, tough, as you can best believe. Right, yeah. The lanes were all pre-sold, this is, not us, the guys who had them, they were all pre-sold and shipped to Europe. And they said that, there hadn't been, because of the decline of the, there hadn't been like new stuff manufactured in here, so there was a big demand, and yeah, the whole was pretty interesting. And all the equipment was spoken for, they were pulling the planks out and shipped them out to the,
You can still buy skateball machines, so those guys are there.
Little bit of time, carpet and stuff in the town, and we sat and stored. That was great. On its peak, so I've never seen anything like that. They were really responsible for that, so I mean, it was, that's all they were doing. On the little ECT and natural property disposal, the levels were really, that's when it was.
You know, I never did classes till I sat in the center seat. I accused Brad of raising the car, in the previous one. You do good, but you gotta keep on from the people.
Right.
You sit in the corner, and it's not easy.
I like the technology, so
I know. I know why we did go higher, but in retrospect, the insurance can call and we don't go higher.
This is off, this is not really launch.
Yeah. Used to feel so much that.
They're programmable.
that's
Yeah,
it.
they do,
Nothing's really changed. It's as much as if you can choose.
It's always good when we're quick. I think there'd be yes or no, right?
Right.
You don't look like sitting back.
You get to see how the other half lives now, huh? All right, call the meeting back to order. Ready, Val? Okay.
May I ask a question real quick? I don't see cart corrals anywhere on the site plan. Do you have plans for those? Will they impact parking?
They asked for three.
They asked for three of them. We were going to try to locate them in the chevron, basically striped out areas around the perimeter of the parking lot. Not specifically out on the row streets, but in those other chevron areas, so that we didn't account for taking out parking spaces for either use group. But they had asked for three of them.
We figured.
Okay.
Ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to, for the variance request for retail parking from 231 spaces required to 177 provided for the property located at 5115 Monroe Street, parcel number 78-17054.
Second.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes. That concludes it, and need a motion for an adjournment, I guess.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer?
Yes.
He could have came back for the adjournment.
And just a reminder, we have the special meeting 2 weeks from tonight.
17th? 17th?
Yes, we'll have 3 cases on the agenda.
3?
Yes. So you get triple pay.
Yeah.
Same time, 4:30?
Kind of pushing.
Better confirm the date, the time, right? Oh, yeah, actually, they said 600 days.
Complete latest construction plans.
Okay, great.
So if you want to take a look at it, like I said, we'll forward these to the various agencies to circulate them around before we're asking for signatures.
Okay,
Subject to, any other comments or however you want us to coordinate that.
all right, good.